Hello, Beepball world. Welcome back to another installment of the Beepball Blues Show. This will be the last Beepball Blues Show before the upcoming Indy Thunder Invitational Tournament. We will be bringing on in just a second here some members from the Gateway Archers. There's been a lot of curiosity from the MBBA membership, wondering who the Gateway Archers are. So by the end of this show, you will all know everything that you need to know. I also want to throw out a quick show note about next week. I'm going to be joined next week. Get rid of Seth Dog. Little Anchor has been holding me back here once in a while. I'll get rid of Seth Dog for 1 week. And I'm going to go one-on-one with Eric Mazriegos next week. Eric Mazriegos. And we're going to recap the games. And I'll also go get into Eric's career and talk about the great career he has. I know at least my co-host is one that agrees with me that it is the best beat baseball career that anybody has put forth. So we will be talking about that and all games played next week during the Indy Thunder Invitational. Now let me bring in my co-host, man, at the other end of my darkness, Seth. Bam, Clark. What's happening, Seth?
Deal, dog. What's happening? Your temporary co-host, since you're kicking me off when the greatest beatball player in the history of the game comes off. I've never even met the guy before, so it would have been an honor for me to finally meet the guy. But okay, I'll go away. I know how it is. So for our guests that we're getting ready to bring in, that's complete sarcasm. So it's the three of us played together for years. Yeah, we build a lot of good things together. But sometimes the three of us are too much the two of us are too much for E-Dog. So so it's a show. No, that's not it. I'll wait till later in the week, but I'm kind of changing things up a little bit next week. So no matter who I did it with, I thought it would be better to go one-on-one. But we will save more for that throughout the week. Throughout the week, I'll make those announcements. I'm doing a few things with the show this week that I'm hoping will be well received and fun, but we'll worry about that later. For now, I would like to introduce the Gateway Archers, one of the newest members of our beat baseball community. I almost said career for some reason. Don't know where that was coming from. So starting out with head coach Mike Curtis, we also have Chad Dillon, Josh Sisson, Kim Blumenthal, and Kasey Scott. Welcome, everybody. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. You bet. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you a little bit. One of the first things we do when we bring on people, I like to jump through each of you individually and find out how you each found the sport of beat baseball. So tell us in your own words, and since I like girls more than I do boys, I'm going to start with you, Miss Blumenthal. How did you learn about and find beat baseball?
Originally, I was just playing for fun, and I started playing. We have a lighthouse for the blind here, and they did the invitational tournaments through Mind's Eye. And then I'm a very competitive person, so I started looking for more. And I actually played with Wilma and the firing squad for several years.
Okay. So did you go to a World Series with the Fire?
Yes, several years.
Okay, excellent. Kasey,
when was your first tournament? Since you've been to the tournament before, when was the first one you went to?
Columbus.
Kim?
Columbus.
I was like Columbus, Ohio. That was a long time ago.
Columbus, Georgia.
No, Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Excellent.
No, I was wondering because we played that game. We had a game against you. That was the downpour. we ended up ending the game early because we had it just opened up and poured and poured and poured, and you guys thankfully decided let's just call the game. We don't need to wait here for 3 hours. So I always appreciated you guys for that. But I was wondering if you were on that team. So I remember that very well.
Seth was a member. It has been a member of the Value City Heat. So if that helps you, yeah.
We played them a few different times actually, but yes.
yes, we played several times. Yeah.
Hey, before we move on real quick, Kim, have you gotten involved with Wool at all, the women of our league?
Yes, I have. I've played in several. Yes, I have. I've played with the Divas for several years also. Right. My daughter also has pitched with the younger league too.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Good. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't know if Neil is totally aware of all that, but yeah, they've picked that kind of up. It's all good. Yeah. How old is your daughter as a pitcher?
She just turned 14 in April.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness! Wow. So I'll be rooting for her next week, man. That's good. I honestly, it's jumping into a tournament for the first time is tough on everybody, but jumping into the tournament for the first time, I think for pitchers is so that's so heavy, and she's so young. So I will be rooting for her and hoping she has a good tournament.
She has been doing volunteering for all the groups that I've played with for 7 years now. I mean, she started out just doing bats and, just helping out here and there. And then she started doing catching, and then she started doing some spotting and, just helping wherever she needed to. Yeah. Kind of needed to be. So she's kind of been a little bit everywhere. She's still a little shy about it, but a little nervous competing with adults.
Well, Seth has 3 kids, and he's raised them all the same way. His son spots. His son also has tried pitching. He's turning his other 2 younger ones into beepball volunteers. So we are pro forcing the kids into the family business. Hey, Kasey Scott, jump in and tell us a little bit about you.
So first I heard about beepball at the Delta Gamma Center, which is here in town. They do different sorts of sports and recreational activities for children and young adults, high schoolers, for people with visual impairments. And then also throughout the years, I played ball in this Afton League, which it can be anywhere from 18 to 75 or 80-year-olds playing. So it's more about having fun and getting to learn about beepball and getting used to hearing the bases and hearing the ball. And so also I've gotten to compete in 2 of Mind's Eye has fundraiser tournaments every year. So last year I got to compete in 2 tournaments. So I've just kind of been getting used to beepball and been playing 4 or 5 years just in the Afton League. And then this year is my first year getting to compete in a competitive team and in a competitive tournament.
You getting excited about the tourney next week?
Yes.
Feeling nervous?
No.
No, confident? I like it. Seth Dog, you got anything?
I always say, I've been playing, I don't know how many games, how many years I've been playing, but every time before that first game, I'm always nervous. I'm always nervous. I'm terrified going up to that first at bat. Always terrified. So join the club. It'll be once you do it though, it gets easier. It's like any other sport. So I know you're not nervous now, but once that first at bat hits, it'll be a little nerve-wracking, but you'll just join the club.
But I know, defensively wise, it's been really nice having Kim on our team. I've been learning a lot from her, and also I've gotten to learn a lot from Chad on offense, and also kind of getting to listen to the Beepball Blues show. I've learned a lot this year.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Josh Sisson, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey guys. I'm Josh. I first was introduced to beep baseball by my friend Kevin Burton from the Wichita Sonics.
Seth and I played a lot of games against KB. He was a really good defensive player.
Yeah, very much. He played for many years, and so he introduced me to the game. I guess I was from Kansas City originally, and we didn't have a beep ball team there. And so for me to play, I'd have to go play with Wichita. And so I could really only practice with them on the weekends because it's a couple hours from Kansas City. I couldn't just get there during the week. But Kevin invited me to give it a shot. And so I went down there and started practicing with them on the weekends. And it seemed like I had a pretty good knack for defense pretty quickly. So I played 2 seasons with Wichita.
What years?
I believe it was, I want to say 2012 and 2013.
Oh, okay.
The 2 World Series that I went to were Ames and Columbus.
Okay, you got the years right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that was after I was jumping in because I played so many games against Sonic and against Seth and I did together, but that I haven't played since 2009, so I was wondering if we crossed paths at all, but we didn't.
No, yeah, 2012, 2013, I think it was, and we, we had some pretty talented teams defensively, but we struggled to score runs. So we didn't have a ton of success winning games while I was there, but
good. Oh, good. Got your feet wet. Got some experience.
Yeah, I played a lot. I think I played every inning of every game in the World Series in Ames.
Now it's getting thrown to the fire.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it was. I love playing defense.
That was a tournament that everybody got hurt in too. So you're obviously tough. That 2012 Ames tournament.
Kevin,
I wasn't.
Actually,
What'd you say, Josh?
Kevin ended up getting heat stroke that year, and so we had to take him out of the lineup for a couple games. So yeah, it was very hot. And, yeah, it was kind of an ordeal at times, but
well, the experience will benefit you at this new project you guys are jumping in with. Chad Dillon, what's your story?
Well, thanks. I was actually introduced to beepball through Boy Scouts at about 14 years old. Another guy in my scout troop had an Eagle Scout project where he built some bases, and then so I learned a little bit about it. Then a couple years later, working on my Eagle Scout project, my project fell through, so that kind of was my backup one. So actually, at 16, I made about 24 bases, and we shipped them all over the world. Southwestern Bell had a program in Kansas City, so learned a lot about it. I didn't know anything about my visual impairment at the time. I had low vision or bad vision, but not legally blind or anything of that nature. So found out about that in my 20s, and about 3 or 4 years ago, got reintroduced to beepball through Mind's Eye Radio and the Afton League that Kasey talked about. So I've been playing locally here in St. Louis for about 3 or 4 years.
That's man, that for me, I've been around the game since 1986. I've really strongly since '87, but I observed my first games at a World Series in '86, and I've never heard a story similar to that. Like, it's such our community, like the blind community, is small, and then the beepball community is even smaller. And for you to have had like a small, there have never been a lot of places that have made bases. There have never been a lot of places that have made balls. For you to have been involved in it at all on any level like that, and then later become visually impaired, I've never heard a story close to that. That was cool. I don't know. You find it cool? I mean, I think it's kind of cool.
I think it is pretty cool. It's funny how the world works,
Yeah.
Believe in a higher power or not. Obviously, Sometimes there's things at work that powers, forces at work that we're not aware of, and it's definitely a lot of fun. It's a neat story.
It's funny in the end, I guess I'm saying how small our community is, man. When things like that pop up, I always say it's just a small world sometimes, no matter how big this globe is, little paths can cross it. Anyway, Seth, I don't know if you remember on the last show when the Archers were brought up, I was like, oh, that's a beepball team. I was an idiot and thought that they were like some kind of fencing team following my show.
Right. Yeah,
So it was Chad that straightened me out last week on them not being not a team of fencers or bow and arrow shooters.
It wasn't until they're coming on, and I finally put together the Gateway Archers. Obviously, I think you guys are from St. Louis or whatever. But this whole time, I'm like, they are archers or whatever. They're trying to be like bowmen and stuff. But it's for the arch, man. I got it, man. It finally dawned on me. It's like, oh, that's for the arch. I got it. So I'm slow.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say I'm even slower because I'd never even considered it being a beepball team. I was just like, wow, what's their interest? I'm too slow at times. I think your lady has called it dense. Anyways, I saved you.
Hey, it's differently abled.
I saved you for last, Coach, because I like players more than I like coaches. But Coach Mike Curtis, tell us about yourself.
You want the long version or short version?
Hey, you're the one that asked this to be a short show, so you decide. We're on your time.
So you've heard the rest of the players mention Mind's Eye and Mind's Eye Radio. So I started working there in 2015. What we were at the time is a radio reading service for the blind and visually impaired. We do magazines, newspapers, books, those type of things. As our organization grew, we added an audio description. We've always done beepball since 2006. We use beepball as a fundraising to supplement the rest of our programs that we do.
Okay.
So even then, beepball started out in 2006 with usually 4 to 6 teams. These are made up of people who are visually impaired and sighted teams. Again, it's mainly used for a fundraiser. Our tournaments are a little bit different than BBVA. We shorten the bases to 60 feet. You're allowed to say the player's name in the outfield that's close to the ball instead of call in positions or zones. One, to make it a little bit easier on some of the players, we want them to score and have runs and have fun doing it.
Yeah.
In 2018, we wanted to take beepball a little bit more seriously. We expanded the fundraisers. We do 2 a year now. Well, now it's 3 in 2020. But then we started doing educational demonstrations around the St. Louis area. So the reason why we went by the Gateway Archers instead of the St. Louis Archers, we wanted to incorporate both sides of the river. So St. Louis is a divide between Missouri and Illinois. Even though obviously St. Louis gets most of the recognition, there's a lot of Illinois commuters that go into St. Louis and can use some of these programs that are available around the area. So that's the reason why we use the Gateway Archers tag instead of St. Louis Archers. We wanted to incorporate all that. So late last year, we've always had a decent relationship with Mind's Eye and the St. Louis Firing Squad. If we went out to do demonstrations or anything like that, we'd always call them to help. It was always great to have their experience with those things. After some rumblings of them maybe not having a team for the World Series in 2020 because some of their players were going elsewhere, Chad approached us to see if Mind's Eye would be interested in getting together a team. Doing that, me and Jason Frazier, who's the president of Mind's Eye and also the GM of our team, we wanted to put a few stipulations in. One, we wanted to be 100% homegrown. So we wanted to have players from the Gateway area, the St. Louis area on our team. We didn't want to go out and find free agents and have them come that way, because the main thinking behind that is we get funding through Mind's Eye that supports the Archers now and our beepball program. We wanted, most of those funders are from the St. Louis area. We wanted to go back into our community. We didn't want to fund a team of free agents from all over the U.S. It only made sense to make sure we give back to our community. We have lots of great athletes in our area that can be on this team, and we wanted to keep it in St. Louis in the Gateway area. So with that in mind, we did our research on players. Having tournaments twice a year, we had a good relationship with a lot of people around the St. Louis area that are good beepball players. Everybody on our team has played in our Mind's Eye tournaments before. Half of them have won MVPs in our tournament. So even though we're new to the NBBA in these games, we're not new to the sport of beepball.
Right.
Some of the rules are a little bit different, so that's been a little bit of a learning curve for some of these guys. Finding a decent pitcher was probably the hardest thing we had to go through. So we do have Mari, but we have another great pitcher in Ashley, who's been a slow pitch softball pitcher and a very good one for a long time. Me and Jason play softball outside of work, and she was always our pitcher, and we always did a lot better when we had her playing on those weeks. So getting the team together and getting a foundation set was what this first year was all about. Everybody was very excited to play in the World Series, and then we were supposed to play in the original Indy tournament, and then a few other tournaments that we were hosting. When those things kind of fell through, we still wanted to play. Darnell reached out. He's been great, as everybody knows. Darnell's the best. So he's reached out to me personally. Yeah. So he's reached out to me numerous times from the get-go whenever we signed up to be a part of the NBBA, offering any help he can. I really appreciate him for reaching out and making these new teams feel welcome. So yeah, and the other benefit of us being 100% homegrown is that we get to have practice on a regular basis. So we started practicing after we had everybody together in March. We got one practice in before events forced us to shut those things down for a while.
Yeah.
We started practicing again at the beginning of June. Whenever restrictions were kind of lifted, we're very safe at practice. Masks, hand sanitizers, or sanitizing balls, bats, all those things. So we're as safe as we can be. But we've been practicing about twice a week since then. So being a little bit under the gun and going against the competition that we are next week, we know we got a little bit of an uphill climb, but hopefully our practice and preparation will make us competitive, and we can win some games.
That in the end, like what you just finished on is what every team's gotta pretty much go through at some point. Although I don't know that Seth's ever been on a team throughout his career that ever went through those lumps, but almost.
I played for the Cougars for that first 6 games.
Yeah, but not at the World Series though. You know what I mean? You didn't have to go through or at a tournament of this size. You never had to go through 5-6 games. Because my own Sacramento team back then, because we're going back to 1988 at that point. Even my own Sacramento team kind of took the same beatings, because we were in a league with 4 teams, and 2 of them were at the East Bay Blaze and North Bay Nemesis, who were top 5, really even top 3 teams on any given year. So, each of our teams were taking lumps, but those are just like, 2 games, you know what I mean, spread out over a few months. You never went through two days of playing on a team.
I've had a good time.
I feel like every team's kind of got to go through that. I mean, it's such a good learning experience, even though it's harsh. You know what I mean? That some of the games could end up tough. You learn so much playing against good teams and playing in a tournament, seeing how teams carry themselves and what they do in between games, whatever. It just, I think it's good experience for. I mean, again, it might be rough at times next weekend, but it's only going to get you guys, like, you're going to go into the off season having such a better vision of what you guys want to accomplish next year from your experience here. Coach Curtis, you covered a lot of my next two areas. We're going to ask you guys about the beginning of the Archers and how you came up with the name. So we kind of got how the name came up with. But for the rest of you players, you could all jump in as you want to. Talk about the team becoming competitive after, the difference, what it's like for you guys with the team being more competitive and less recreational now. How are you feeling about the team? I know it's kind of random. Go ahead.
I think for me, because I was so used to all the rules and everything from MBBA, coming to more of a recreational league at first was really hard because I was used to all these rules. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. We have to do it.
Right.
So I think that's been a challenge for me, is to be like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Let's focus on the rules that are really important first that they got to get before we get into some of the technical rules. So I think that's kind of been a little bit difficult for me, just because I came from that arena already, and how much more lax it was, I guess. And honestly, it kind of made it fun because there wasn't as much. But then I'm a very competitive person. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. No, this has got to and Mike's been really good about like, yeah, let me look that up. Let me double check that. Let me that kind of stuff, because I think it is different. And I think it is going to be a little bit different when we play, but it's going to be one of those things that you kind of have to learn. And experience.
That the only way to get experience is to go out and get experience. You can't learn experience. So
we've all pretty much. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, because she had mentioned like the rule changes. I almost mentioned this while Mike was talking. I actually like that approach of simplifying things when you're trying to get people to come out and just have fun. I like the rule changes that were made, because you want people to walk away, having enjoyed themselves. So I like the approach of starting it out soft and kind of building it up. But who was that was going to jump in? Sorry.
Oh, it was Chad. I was going to say, all of us on the team have played together or against each other, over the last 3 or 4 years. So we all knew each other. And I think what's really been great is having the time practicing twice a week, like clockwork. Over the last 2.5 months, we've really come together as a team. So in the past, with a fundraiser, you maybe get together, practice once or twice just to learn each other's names and know where you're supposed to stand. But when you have a team like this, and we're all committed to winning, every one of us, we have a team personality. We're not a team of personalities. We have a team personality, and we work very hard at practice. And I think that's really going to relate to the field next week.
Yeah. And there's no real subs. I've been on both types of beepball teams. Basically teams that have brought in others from the outside and homegrown teams. That's how the Dogs were at the beginning. We were a homegrown team. Then we turned into a free agent sort of team. But I've come to truly believe that there's no substitute for having a team together practicing all the time, because during the World Series things are going to get tough, and that's when you need to be able to fall back on that team camaraderie, that team personality that you're speaking of, and that you only really develop that through practice and going through that thing throughout, going through those various things throughout the entire year together. So I think you guys are in that way definitely on the right track into building something that is a competitive squad going forward. So I do commend that.
I think one of the other things, even though we knew each other, we didn't really know each other. And I think getting to know each other and being able to help each other out, you see what one person's weakness is and where their strengths are. So then you can balance that with other people.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what building the team's about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so all the players on the team were kind of handpicked by myself and Jason. We've tried to remain as balanced as possible. So, I mean, from that standpoint, we got a few players like Josh and Liam on the team who are speedsters. So they got the speed to get to the bases. They're good in the outfield. We got balanced players like Anthony Easley and Chad are pretty balanced. They're good on offense and defense. Kim, defensive specialist. We got half our team is righties and lefties. So we got a good balance of a little bit of everything. We're not just up there trying to smash home runs. We're not up there trying to be speed demons and beat everything out. So it's a little bit all over the place. So hopefully that can confuse some teams a little bit to give us a slight edge, but I doubt it. But anything's going to help us right now.
Yeah, if half your lineup is lefties, that's not something teams see a lot. I mean, I played for over 20 years, and I can only think of a couple lefties I played with that entire time. So having some lefties on your team will mix that up. Wait, one thing Seth and I have talked about when we did a show about defenses towards the beginning of the Beepball Blues show called D It Up, and a team kind of has to pick a philosophy, and one of our philosophies as the Dogs when we started was, with 6 players you can't cover the entire field, so until somebody would prove us wrong or challenge it, we would leave part of right field kind of naked and just focus on the strength. So you with half your lineup being lefties, if that's accurate, that would have thrown us off a little bit.
True, but our base defense flipped. We
I mean, we would have adjusted. I'm not saying you would. It especially. I mean, now, right? The style now is everybody runs that balanced defense. Yeah.
Right. You have same. Right. Nobody runs an unbalanced defense like we did in the past. But you can run an unbalanced defense. You just have to flip it for left-handers.
Yeah. You have to be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't just have the one defense and leave it at that. that was our primary set, was to give up a good portion of right field.
Hold on, real quick, what defense do you guys run? Do you guys run just the same normal defense as the Thunder and or have you guys brought something new to that aspect, or what is your team philosophy in that regard as it relates to defense? Defense wins championships. So, well, anybody can jump in on that.
I'll let Kim do it. She's the defensive expert on our team.
I don't know about expert, but I will say that the defense that we're using is definitely one where we're all going to be colliding on the ball, obviously, and one of the biggest things with defense is going to be making sure that everybody's communicating. And I think that's something we've really worked hard at during our practices, how important communication is. And I think placing players.
I was just going to say, you're already talking our language by talking about having multiple players closing on balls. That's a big thing with us, and also communication. I mean, if players aren't out there talking to each other, you're wasting opportunity to make the defense better. So you're talking our language right out of the gates.
To me, communication seems to be key with defense as well.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think one of the things that we're using too is a lot of peer guided. I mean, when I hear the ball and I know exactly where it's going, I don't really care what the spotter's saying. I mean, yeah, you listen, but I'm knowing because I'm right there. And, by guiding your fellow teammates to where it's at, if it's over you, it's to your left, it's to your right. They can tell from me and giving them specific areas to go. I think it makes us a little quicker to get there.
Absolutely. Seth could tell you, because the Dogs for a lot of years played with just one person up front, and that was me. And Seth could tell you I spent half my career just saying, more than like a player, I was like an air traffic controller, because my job being the very front of our defense was to let people behind me know anything I could. You don't want your front people talking too much, because that takes away from them listening to the ball. But any little indications you could give the people behind you when you're up front, whether it's on the ground, in the air, if it was a bad call by the spotter and they can't correct it, you've got, I feel like front people need to take responsibility of helping with all that stuff. So you're talking about language. But go back to Seth's original question, though. Do you guys run like a defense with 2 people up front, 1 person up front? How do you spread it out?
I think you would consider ours a 2 triangle.
Okay,
Yeah.
I believe that's more or less what the Thunder defense stuff.
Yeah, so that's that balance.
I don't know.
People, the 3 people on each side, and the shorter people. Let's say up front to the sideline. Let's say, what would that be? The zone, the 2 zone, I think it is. I'm not totally sure.
I don't even like to talk. I don't even like to talk to the zone because everybody
does
something different.
So, right.
Well,
so towards the line.
Yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
have the point would be up front, close. We have 1 person up close, and then 1 person directly behind them in the center, and then we have our sides. The 2 closer to the bases, a little in closer, and then our back people are playing more over in the 3. So it's kind of, we've got the field covered. I think that's really what's important.
I feel like we're giving up the ghost here. We're supposed to be sneaking up on these folks on Thursday night.
Exactly.
Honestly, I've never found any of that stuff to be real helpful in beepball, since it's not like we could go to the plate and look around and see where the holes are and try to find them. You know what I mean? It's like, 1, we can't see the defense, and 2, we just want our pitcher to hit our darn bat, I mean, if we're good enough, if you're a good enough player and you have a good enough pitcher, of course you try to beat the defense, but putting the ball in play was always my point. So before we wrap it up and let you guys go, get back to your weekends, and again, I appreciate you coming on and helping out the show. Just talk a little bit about going into this tournament, and I know each of you have when we were talking individually, but as a team, how are you feeling going into this tournament now that it's on top of
you? Josh.
I think that even though we're a new team, we've got a lot of good leadership on our team. Having Kim up front on defense, her recognition it's almost as if we have an extra spotter, or an extra coach on the field with us. And Chad, is somebody who, he lost his vision a little later in life, so he got to play baseball coming up, and he's been he's helped me a lot with my swing. Myself, I've played in the NBBA a couple of years, and I've competed in a lot of different sports. So the competition is not new to me.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of great support from Mike and Jason and Mind's Eye. So yeah, we're kind of the new kids on the block, but I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, like Josh said, I mean, again, like even though we're new to NBBA, none of us are new to beepball around here. So I assume we have a little bit of a head start on most new teams. Whether or not we're going to jump up and be one of the top teams in the league, I mean, next week we'll kind of decide that. And if that's the case, cool. If not, we know what we need to work on in the off season. So again, experience this weekend is probably going to be a good thing for us. Obviously, we would have liked it to be in a World Series to get some more of that experience, but any beepball we could have got in this year, it's going to be useful for us. And thank you to Darnell. They're taking a lot of steps to make this tournament happen. They're also taking a lot of steps to make it safe and for us to be able to play. So they're doing all the right things on there, and so kudos to them. Yeah, I mean, we just want to get out there, play beepball, play safe, get experience, hopefully win some games, and kind of build from there. The other thing with the Archers going forward, this wasn't going to be like a one and done type thing. This was always going to be the beginning of a program. We got steps in place being in St. Louis, Missouri School for the Blinds there. whenever they get back into session, we started talks working with them and having winter practices there. Hopefully some of their students give them an opportunity to be exposed to beepball. They currently don't have that, except for maybe once or twice a year through certain events. So hopefully that'll start a pipeline for us to get some younger players in here.
That's a good plan on your part. Lord knows that's
thinking long down the road. I mean, even though we got some older folks on the team, no offense to Chad and Kim, but they each got at least 10 good years left in them. So we'll take it slow. But we got an idea of what we want to do going forward. Even after this year, we have seven players on our team now, not counting pitchers, spotters, all those things. We're going to add more next year. So we're building a program, and then that's the other things that we want to be homegrown on. So even though we go to 2 or 3 tournaments a year, some of these other teams that aren't homegrown, they're not doing things back in their community. Our team can go to schools events, teach around the area, expand our game here in St. Louis, and hopefully that'll kind of reach further just to expand beepball and beep baseball in general.
Lord knows that tapping into the schools for the blind has worked great for the Thunder. So I think you're. I love the fact that young players actually are getting exposed to the game. But I think when you have the opportunity, it's a great way to feed start a pipeline if you can, feeding into the system. That's one thing we never had here. When we were talking, how the Dogs' philosophy, it wasn't really the Dogs' philosophy that changed from being homegrown to bringing in free agents. It was a necessity. We weren't getting local players to come and stick with us, and we wanted to keep playing. Part of the problem, I think, for not just the Dogs, but teams that aren't close to other teams, it's hard to keep players involved if they're not getting to play a lot of games and see other teams. It's hard to get somebody focused, a player focused on just going to the World Series. So that was something that hurt us. But I think you guys are doing a lot of the right things to get your program going in the right direction. Are you going to be playing in the Indy Edge tournament in September also?
We didn't get the invite, but as of right now, no. We Mind's Eye will have 2 more tournaments before the year, so we'll have one in the end of August and then one in October. So beepball's still going for us back home, but unless somebody drops out and we get an invite, I doubt we'd probably do something like that.
Okay, fair enough. Any final thoughts from you, Sepdog?
Man, and my final thoughts are, man, be safe. Right? Nobody's used the words COVID-19 once in this podcast or in the previous ones, right? And I'm very aware of that with school-age children and being a football coach and on a football board here. It's real. It's dangerous. I hope you guys have all your protocols taken care of as it relates to the hotels and the food and all that. Just be safe, man. I wish you guys the best of luck on the field, but I wish you guys the best of luck off the field as well. So be safe.
Thank you.
Both echoing those thoughts and adding into it, because I have one. There are 2 parts of the COVID thing for me. For one, when I started doing this show and just jumped in and started doing it, I was doing it to get people to give people something away from the virus to think about once a week. A little break from the virus. But also just a couple weeks ago when I had a couple people from the Bandits on with me, I even brought it up then that I was going to be covering teams that are going to this tournament, even though my own personal philosophy is I'm nervous for the teams going to this tournament. I hope everybody gets there safely and comes home safe, is healthy. You know what I mean? I'm glad that I'm glad there's a smart approach to it, and that everybody's going to be doing what they can to keep people healthy and safe. but it does make me nervous getting the group of people around each other. So I'm not ignoring the virus. There's no.
Sure, no. I know you're not. I know you're not. We talk about it enough. I know we're not. You're not.
But I get, again, just want people to, I mean, if the tournament's going on, I just want them during the show to focus on the tournament. And again, I'll be holding out that everybody makes it there and home safely. Everybody be smart and thoughtful, considerate, follow the rules. I'm not just talking to you guys on the Archers, you guys and gals on the Archers. I want everybody to follow the rules, be considerate, be smart, be thoughtful, just be safe as possible, so that there's no negativity that comes out of this. I want it to be all positive for everybody.
No, that's funny because we're doing a little bit of practicing with the youth football team, and I coach the 9U and the 7U, and they are the most difficult group to keep social distance, right? Because they're just young. But I try to tell them, it's like, if you guys don't stay social distance, we won't be able to do this anymore. So everybody be safe so we can all keep doing what we like to do. So I do wish everybody the best of luck at the tournament. And somebody beat the Thunder. The Archers, there's never been in beepball, there's never been an upset champ ever. Okay, so be the first one.
We'll do our best.
All right. Thank you to you guys, all of you on the Gateway Archers. Thanks so much for coming on. Wish you guys luck. I'm a fan. I'll be following you, and I'll see how you guys do. Looking forward to seeing the results.
Thank you.
Go Archers.
Go Archers.
Definitely
go Archers. Yeah, I can totally root for you guys. If you guys were in the championship against the Thunder or the Jets, I'd be rooting for you guys. So I'm an Archer fan. Go Archers! Yay!
All right.
All right, so, I'll let you throw our final words out. You know how I like to end the show.
Yeah. Okay, we'll end it the right way. Good night, Aunt Cindy.